Every culture has its own myths and spooky stories, revolving around local legends and historical locations. One of the most unique depictions of ghosts and demons, though, has to come from the glorious island of Japan, steeped in rich spiritual background and beliefs passed down over centuries. Japanese horror often delves into the more philosophical side of horror, still delivering visually horrific scenes, but also offering complex characters, motives, and storylines. But because a huge majority of Americans being unable to accept that there are more languages than English in the world and refusing to read subtitles, many of these films are remade by American Hollywood directors and are often a mere shadow of the former. But before we begin, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Every new sub helps us achieve our goals and keeps us motivated to create new content with you in mind. With that being said, I am your host Sarah, and here are 10 American remakes of Asian horror films. Enjoy. Number 1. The Ring. The Ring introduced American audiences to J-horror and not only remains the best of the American remakes, but also the most cultural significant. It's been over 20 years since the film first shook up the Western horror genre to its core, and we still see its influence in everything. The Ring was directed by Gore Verbinski, who brought a technical finesse and haunting stylistic flair to the film. Verbinski is most known for the original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, which would have launched in 2003, not even a year after The Ring debuted. The Ring is about a videotape that contains all sorts of bizarre, unnerving footage. After one watches said tape, they receive a phone call in which an unearthly voice says 7 days. This is how long they have before they die. The core concept has been used in American supernatural films so much in the last 20 years it's nothing shocking, but The Ring popularised it. It's still hell of a hook to it. The film kicks off with what the 7th day looks like for a girl called Katie, and the whole thing incites an investigation from Katie's aunt, Rachel, who happens to be an investigative journalist. Rachel is played by Academy Award-winning actress Naomi Watts, in arguably the most popular role she has. The Ring was also a sleeper hit. It was released on October the 18th, 2002, with a modest 15 million opening weekend stateside, but went on to make more in its second weekend, 18 million, which is quite rare, particularly that time of the year. It's a sign of enormously strong word of mouth, and The Ring was cited by audiences and critics alike as one of the scariest films ever made. I was a freshman in high school when I saw it. I believe during the second weekend too. Needless to say, I couldn't sleep for a week. But you can stream The Ring on Google, Fandango and Amazon. Let me know what Fandango's like. We have like so limited ones in the UK. Number 2. Pulse. And I am also going to be very sorry if I mispronounce any of the names. Japanese film director Kiyoshi Kurosawa released his acclaimed techno horror film Pulse in 2001. And if any of you were wondering, Kiyoshi is of no relationship to legendary Japanese director Akira Kurosawa. And once again, I'm so sorry, I probably mispronounced these badly. In 2006, Pulse was remade for American audiences with a less than stellar result. After discovering her boyfriend's suicide, Matty Weber starts receiving emails allegedly from her undead boyfriend Josh. She has to discover the truth behind Josh's death as spirits attempt to communicate with her through tech. Matty is played by Kristen Bell, who becomes a household name since her breakout role in the hit series Veronica Mars as the titular character. She would later lend her voice to the most iconic role Anna in the 2013 praised smash hit phenomenon Frozen. While Belle can certainly carry a film, she's a much stronger comedic actress than dramatic. Not that she was given anything particular meaty to work with when it comes to regards to Pulse. The film also director Jim Sonzero, first and only feature who claims to fame was to direct Mariah Carey's 1991 Don't Let Go music video. Sonzero, which again I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, couldn't find pronunciation anywhere online, would also go on to direct cutscenes in the first video game Killzone 3 and Resident Evil 5 Pulse. Was also co-written by modern master of suspense Wes Craven, known for launching iconic horror franchises like A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. So go and stream Pulse on Tubi, Pluto, Amazon Plex, Fandango, Google and YouTube. Wes Craven is like daddy horror. And I hate the word daddy, but he is basically the dad. Number 3. The Grudge. The same year, J-horror took Western audiences by storm with the 2002's hit American remake of The Ring. There was the 2002 original The Grudge being released in Japan, which later had a 2004 Western remake. The beloved Buffy star would be cast as the lead for the film. The original The Grudge sees the family move into a Japanese house where horrendous tragedy took place. A man had murdered his wife, Kayako, in a jealous rage after discovering she bedded another man. In his rage, he also killed his son and their family cat. The idea behind The Grudge is that an emotional death can leave an imprint, a curse on the place that it occurred. This aspect is the same in the American version. I have always found this concept quite fascinating. The unfortunate thing about the American The Grudge is that they butcher the reason that people who enter the house are dying, and it lacks the nuance of the original. Although the unnerving aesthetic, albeit more polished, remained, The Grudge story follows Karen Davis, who is an American living in Tokyo. One of the highlights of The Grudge, aside from the wonderful Geller being cast as a lead, is the well-orchestrated scares. Some are even borrowed from the original. One of them involves Karen alone at night. She is frightened by a strange phone call. So, she hides under her sheets. But when she heard a nerve-wracking cry, she discovers Kayuka, who crawled up the sheets. Ooh. I like highlighting this scene because it serves several purposes in both the original and remake. First, it's genuinely shocking, as that's not where you'd expect the ghost. It also foreshadowing, as she was also trying to hide from her murderous husband, as well as warn Karen and Kazumi. It will haunt you if you don't watch The Grudge on Tubi, Plex, Amazon, Fandango and YouTube. Number 4. One Missed Call. One Missed Call wasn't just a remake of the 2003 Japanese film by the same name, but was the second adaptation of Chakushin Ori by Yasushi Akimoto. While the original One Missed Call received mixed reviews, its 2008 American remake was the worst reviewed film of the year. It had a putrid 0% on Rotten Tomatoes and won the site's Mouldy Tomato Award. Don't get me wrong, the film is not good, but didn't the crap heap disaster movie come out on the same year? Whatever, One Missed Call follows Beth Raymond, played by Shannon Sossamon, a frequent character actress in the early 2000s, who receives an eerie voicemail from herself with a future date, time, and some clues to her death. From that point on, the victim Beth in this case starts to see frightening visions and ghostly images. I legitimately like the concept, but for the remake, the execution is really poor. The film is thoroughly bland, and even though the ghosts are unsettling looking, too much of them is shown too often. I really think Parker Finn, who's the writer and director for the acclaimed hit Smile films, would be the perfect person to helm a One Missed Call reboot. His entire production design is nerve-wracking. However, don't miss one missed call on YouTube, Google, Fandango and Amazon. I remember that film. Cinema to see that. It was empty cinema. Number 5. Dark Water. With the critical and commercial success of The Ring in 2002, as well as the hit The Grudge in 2004, it's no surprise that the US saw an influx of J-horror remakes throughout the middle and the end of the noughties. The trend tampered out by the 2010s thanks to most of them being cheap, overstyled and soulless cash grabs that lacked the nuance as well as the storytelling of their original counterpart. This wasn't entirely the case with 2005's Dark Water, which I may or may not have seen initially on a bootleg back in the day. The film received middling reviews from critics, praising atmosphere and performance, but finding it slow with a genuine lack of scares. Interestingly enough, it's 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, making it the second best reviewed film on this list. The Ring is the only one that reached true acclaim. Dark Water's audience score is a pitiful 28%, although more in line with many of the other ones on this list. Truthfully, I do agree with Dark Water being slow. That was somewhat by design, I think. I also do find the film kind of boring, more so if you're expecting creepy ghosts and jump scares anyway. Dark Water follows Dahlia, played by the fantastic Jennifer Connelly, who wants to get away from her ex-husband. She and her daughter move into a kind of run-down apartment complex, and there is a leak in the building, so she calls her landlord, who is played by John C. Reilly, to take a look at it. At this point, Reilly did Oscar-caliber films. He would have recently starred in Best Picture winner Chicago. It would have also been a few years since Jennifer Connelly won a Best Actress Academy Award for A Beautiful Mind. I truly believe Buenos Vista thought they were going to have a classy hit horror picture on their hands in the vein of the others. Dark Water got a $30 million budget, a summer release, as well as a stacked cast. It had British Academy Award nominating character and stage actor Pete Postlethwaite, R.I.P. in it, for God's sake. The man, Alma's master, was Bristol's old Vic Theatre School. With tapered reviews and a slim profit, I think studios ultimately gave up on making these J-horrors something with cinematic value after Dark Water. The film is far more interesting if you view it from the lens of a family drama. The dripping water, which appears to be Dark Water, only seems to increase with Dahlia's anxieties. So stream Dark Water on Apple, Amazon, Google, YouTube and Fandango. If you are enjoying this video so far, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Let's continue. Number 6. Shutter. Joining the growing pantheon of craptacular J-horror American remakes was 2008's Shutter. The film is actually adapted from 2004's Thai supernatural film Shutter that received modest critical and commercial success. Unfortunately, its American remake suffers from a lot of the same issues that plague its J-horror influenced counterparts. The original film is lauded for its story, performance and atmosphere. Much of that is lacking here in the remake. 2008 Shutter goes through the motion with requisite jump scares, but its inconsistent production quality and reliance on cliches undermine the film's intriguing aspects as well as its twist. Shutter follows newlyweds Ben and Jane having just moved to Japan, as Ben has accepted an exciting job offer as well as photographer. Maybe I'm biased, but I do find the leads likeable. Ben is played by Dawson Creek star Joshua Jackson. Jane is played by the lovely Rachel Taylor, who was hot off 2007's crowd-pleasing original Transformers film. I really wish she had used her Australian accent in here. It would have relaxed her performance a bit. Regardless, in Shutter, Ben and Jane are driving down a snowy road and hit a girl who stumbled into the road. While braking and swerving, they crash into a tree. After the incident, all the photos they take contain ghostly figures. Shutter does address the idea of spirit photography, and I wish the film would have explored that a bit more. Both Ben and Jane start seeing apparitions of the woman they hit, and Jen seeks to uncover the truth behind all of it. You can stream Shutter on Amazon, Disney Plus, and Google. Been a while since we have one on Disney Plus. Number 7. The Eye. Jessica Alba's career catapulted after her tenure on Fox's hit series Dark Angel, produced by classic blockbuster maker James Cameron. Alba would star in many high-profile hit films throughout the 2000s, including The Fantastic Four, its sequel, and Sin City. 2008's remake of 2002's Hong Kong film The Eye also starred Jessica Alba as the lead. The film also went on to be a hit. The remake grossed $58 million globally against a $12 million budget. Although critics weren't keen on it, audiences felt a little more favourable to it. 2008's The Eye revolves around a blind concert violinist, Sydney Wells, who is played by Alba, who had lost her sight in an accident at 5 years old. She undergoes a cornea transplant which restores her eyesight. Unfortunately, she also starts having visions and seeing things that aren't there. It's an interesting concept that proves execution is everything, and the Eye remake isn't quite up to the muster. And while Alba has a screen presence and obviously likability, she didn't quite have the dramatic chops for this film. Although none of the performances really brought much to it. And these include the typical charismatic improv queen, Harky Posey. The Pang brothers, who directed the 2002 original, claim aspects of their film were based on a true story that they read about in the newspaper. One of the said true stories was about a 16-year-old girl who had committed suicide after receiving a cornea transplant. Watch The Eye on Plex, Freevee, Fubo, Fandango, YouTube, and Amazon. Number 8. The Uninvited. The 2009 psychological horror film The Uninvited is a remake of the 2003 South Korean film A Tale of Two Sisters. The Uninvited was produced by Walter F. Parks and Laurie MacDonald, who would also produce the horror phenomenon The Ring, as well as The Rear Window, homage to Disturbia. This was how The Uninvited was promoted in its marketing campaign on all the DVDs. The film stars Emily Browning as Anna. Browning is best known for her starring as the young Violet Baudoir in the silver screen adaptation of Lemony Snicket: A Series of Unfortunate Events, and then later in Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch. The illustrious comedic actress Elizabeth Banks plays Anna's stepmother. Her older sister Alex is played by Ariel Cabell, whom I'm most familiar with from her American Pie Bandcamp. Yeah, it sucks, but I own it, so shut up. After Anna and Alex's mother passed away in a house fire, Anna slit her wrist in an attempt to commit suicide. The Uninvited follows Anna, whose memory has been spotty since the incident after she's been released from a mental hospital. As much as I like the performers, the ensemble was miscast. The awkward dialogue and overall clunky narrative doesn't help. Anna and Alex suspect that their stepmother may have killed their actual mother, after Anna starts seeing the ghost of her mother. Big spoilers ahead. At the end of The Uninvited, we learn that Anna suffers from dissociative disorder, hallucinations, and schizophrenia. She has also been imagining her mother as well as her older sister, who had also died in the fire, which Anna accidentally caused. I do like how it's played out, and unlike the original, it's not supernatural. Watch The Uninvited on Google, Amazon, and Fandango. Number 9. Apartment 1303 3D. 2007 Japanese horror film Apartment 1303 is based off Kia Oshii's novel of the same name. The film was met with dismal critical reception, and the film's 2012 remake fared even worse. Apartment 1303 3D sees Janet Slate desperate to get away from an overbearing former star mother. She signs a lease on a cheap apartment. In probably the most forced bit of exposition, we learn that the previous tenant committed suicide. Janet is characterised as naive pretty quickly, and her older sister Laura is supposed to be the level-headed one. Laura is played by Misha Barton, whose breakout role was in Fox's early 2000s hit teen drama The OC, although she made an impression on audiences in her brief appearance in The Sixth Sense as the vomiting ghost girl. Apartment 13033D really lays it on thick with the melodrama, which I found hilarious, and the dialogue is atrocious. That, along with the cringe expositions, makes it more comedic than dramatic. Even the ghostly appearances are so over the top, they are more amusing than they are scary. One interesting tidbit is that Apartment 13033D was released simultaneously in theatres and on demand, which wasn't common at all until the COVID-19 pandemic. I enjoyed the film more than I should have, but don't get me wrong, it's shotty silver screen crapola, but it's also kind of funny. Go and have a look for yourself on Pluto, Freevee, Fubo, Amazon, Fandango, YouTube and Google. Number 10. Don't Look Up. 2009's Don't Look Up is not to be confused with the Leonardo DiCaprio and J-Law led 2021 Netflix film. It has nothing to do with this one. 2009's Don't Look Up is a remake of the 1996 Japanese horror film director by Hideo Nakata. Nakata is most famous for his classic horror film Ringu, which we all know would also be remade for American audiences as The Ring. The Japanese version of Don't Look Up, or Yoyuri, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, literally means ghost actress. 2009's American Don't Look Up was directed by Fruit Chan, a Hong Kong director who made his feature debut with the 1985 Jackie Chan-led Heart of the Dragon. Don't Look Up follows a film crew shooting a film in Transylvania. The director of said film is looking to finish a lost film by Bela Alt from the 1920s. Alt's Films was about a gypsy who gives birth to the devil. It is allegedly cursed film, although Alt is only shown briefly. He is played by the splatter film director and horror film stan Eli Roth. Roth happens to produce an acclaimed docuseries called Cursed Films for the horror streaming service Shudder. Anyway, as you might have guessed, the crew trying to complete the lost film doesn't go well for them. Something supernatural is released from the celluloid, and people start dying. They won't shut down the production because they have a responsibility to the investors. Once again, capitalists are the real monsters. Don't Look Up has an interesting concept with some noteworthy deaths, but is undermined by how thoroughly cheap and often incoherent it is. Watch it on Prime. Thank you for checking out the video. Did we leave any films off the list? Please let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with all our latest releases. You can reach out to us on Twitter, also known as X, at StudioFat, or chat with us on Discord, which will be linked directly below. If you're enjoying our content and want to help support us, click the join button for exclusive content, rewards and perks. Make sure to check out our very own merch store located at fatninja.shop. All proceeds go towards our next film project, so we'd greatly appreciate it. I have been your host Sarah, and thanks again for being here with me today. Have a beautiful day and take care. Goodbye.